My name is Fred Matzer. I'm chair of the Alliance for New Humanity. We're talking about a big humanitarian crisis, the climate change situation. The point is, many people are much in fear related to the circumstances. What is done apart from the physical aspect of data, healthcare, and those kind of situations, related to the emotional side? Many people suffer. It's something that's inside. How can we prepare and give people more peace of mind related to the situation at hand? I mean, this is all very much from the mind, but how can we help and support one another's hearts in this situation, especially the women in the field with their suffering children? It's not a physical intervention only, but the heart, the hug, and those kind of little things that are so close to each of us.
Barbara Stocking, you see this, and you and your colleagues see this at first hand.
Well, as I said before at the start, the first thing is the key is that people are helped to understand what's happening to them. We all know that if something is going on wherever we are personally, if we don't understand what it is that's going on or what might happen, we completely lose control of our own lives, our own actions, and nothing is more frightening to a person than not knowing what they can do. Now, the more information that people have generally, and then particularly at a particular time, then the more strength they can have about taking their own decisions, but also working in their own community to take those decisions. And actually, poor people are not just victims of this. Right across the world now, poor people are deeply engaged in disaster risk reduction, working out where their community can go at a time of flood, where's the shelter, how's the cooking going to be done. And I think that gives people a much greater sense of being able to cope, a sense of control, not of the environment and things that are happening to them, not of the weather, but what they themselves can do about it in order to survive and look after themselves. Now, that, of course there is still huge suffering, but at least if you feel you have some control over what you can do personally to make that suffering less, to save your children and so on, I mean, that's just got to be a very significant part of this whole sense of being a human being in control of your own life.
WHO is working with the humanitarian sector actors to help countries through the Ministry of Health to build what we call disaster preparedness, planning, response, and recovery. And I can't agree with more with Barbara. You know, information, preparedness, early warning, all this would contribute to understanding the issues and understanding what an individual, a mother or father, a child can do for themselves. And these things are happening, but not enough, because this has always been neglected.
What do you see as the political dynamic here between the report, even if it is challenged in some quarters, but the report and the very clear direction you've identified and this policy imperative, which both of you have just identified as well?
Well, the policy imperative, of course, is towards Copenhagen. The policy imperative is to make sure that, as Kofi Annan has already said, is that the polluter has to pay in this, and that people, poor countries, developing countries, are needing money for adaptation and for mitigation, for clean energy and so on. But they need that money urgently now because this is happening to them now. And that must be a part of the deal that is coming through in Copenhagen.
But what I was trying to get at was the fact that this is a focus now on the human impact.
Yes.
You've almost opened up a new front with this, even if it's disputed to a certain extent. How much is that going to impact now on the political dynamic before December?
Well, I hope very positively. Certainly in our work from the humanitarian development side with the environmental agencies, we are making common cause now in both ways. We, for a long time in development agencies, you could argue, did not take climate change seriously enough. We are now doing so because we are very clear about its impacts. Equally, the environmental movement recognises the human impacts, and standing together, that does change the political dynamic quite significantly.
I think making the political connection is important. I mean, the men and women on the street, they have a vote. They go to the vote box. And if they understand the importance of climate change to them on a daily basis, they will make sure their political leaders listen and pay attention.
I got feedbacks from 5 government's climate special envoy. They wanted to have the report. And each of them said, thanks a lot. This is a dimension we forgot so far in our political debate, even in our own internal political debate. And I think that is a strong message.
I'm not putting a block on any voices here. I see two others who want to intervene. We have 5 minutes left. Here, please, and then, wait, here first and then behind. Yeah. No, the other way round, please. You were first.
Christoph Stückelberger, Global Ethics Net here in Geneva. Thank you very much for this report. I think it's a very important data, and you ask what kind of data do we need in future. I would suggest an additional or next report, maybe called Human Engagement Report, a report of what is done, because there are many people who are active, and that's motivating. As an ethicist, I'm always interested how we can motivate people to be active, and Barbara and Margaret and Walter already mentioned it. We need to be motivated to be active. So a human engagement report could collect all these data, because I see a vast growing number of institutions, of people's movements, of politicians engaged in that.
But so, do you believe that could be achieved in a year, a few months, what? You know, if the urgency is there, how long would that take?
The urgency will remain with us, unfortunately, for the next 20 years. So if we would start a human engagement report and present it in a year here, I think that could be an additional step forward.
Walter, I'll ask you, do you want to respond quickly to that?
Interesting, provided that we do not first need 10 years to find what is the adequate scientific approach.
Could it be done in 10 months rather than 10 years?